Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
I am Jay Kumar, Assistant Professor in Environmental Science at Geetham University, Bengaluru campus. At the outset, I thank Dr. B.S. Balaji and Swayam Prabha for permitting me to deliver a lecture on environmental studies. Today, we are going to discuss on the water resources. What are the water resources available? How it is being used, rather overexploited, how the surface and the groundwater are being largely overexploited. As a result, how we experience floods and droughts, which I have explained through a small clipping. Now, coming to the water use. Water use means how much amount of water you are taking from the ground or surface. Before that, quickly recall about the water resource. Water is considered to be the elixir of life. Two-thirds of the planet Earth is covered by water, out of which 98% is covered by marine environment. The remaining 2% is distributed with the glaciers and other things, out of which 0.3% is locked in the form of rivers and groundwater, both surface and groundwater. So we use the water for very many purposes, right from the domestic usage, cooking, bathing, all the activities involve water usage. And this water usage we withdraw either from the ground, either through boreholes or wells, or a simple hand pump. Once the water is withdrawn, it is used for very many purposes. We are just withdrawing it, we are consuming it, but we are not returning or reusing the water. That means that water is not recharged, or whatever the water that is being taken from the groundwater or the groundwater table, we are only consuming it, we are not putting it back. And if you just look at the usage of water, by and large, India is an agricultural country. So we use 93% of our water for irrigation and agricultural purpose. It means that water is being used in very many purposes. It is being pumped from a river or from a well through a motor, and it is distributed all over India. The reason behind is we use lot of standing crops, particularly rice and wheat. So agricultural sector is one of the major sector which consumes water. If you just look on to the per head consumption, per capita consumption, an individual consumes 135 liters per day. That involves all his daily activities, including bathing, brushing his tooth, washing, cooking, cleaning his car or motorcycle, general purposes, everything involves, and the water usage accounts to 135 liters per head per day. This is the water consumption you find in India. And another thing is you are using the water but you are not returning the water back, because after bathing or other thing it becomes a wastewater. Unless it is treated, it cannot be reused or recycled. So this is the first problem we face upon. Now, when water resources are available, how we are over exploiting? Over exploiting in the sense using beyond the requirement, or using beyond the requirement and spreading on a large area. First thing, we overuse the groundwater. So every house invariably has got a borewell. Nevertheless, of getting a supply from the municipality or the local corporation, they depend on the groundwater through borewells. And to have a borewell, initial economic investment, and literally you are drilling a borehole in the earth and consume the water. But we fail, or sometimes we forget to keep a water recharging pit to recharge the groundwater. This is one of the problem, and as a result we overuse the groundwater. By and large, many of the agricultural lands in arable area, in arid regions, use the groundwater. When the river water canals are blocked or when there is no flow of water during the lean period, they take the water from the well. Second, drinking, irrigation and other domestic purposes. Drinking. On an average, a human consumes 6 to 7 liters of water, and that water, in fact, it goes as an evaporation, goes as a sweat, comes out as urine. So drinking is a regular phenomenon, it is an inevitable phenomenon. Irrigation. Irrigation in the sense we are using water to grow the crops in the agricultural land. So how much amount of water is required per hectare of land for particular crop is given by the agricultural department. ICAR has given it. The only issue behind is they have recommended drip water irrigation, but the farmers still use inappropriate methods of irrigation where they flush the cropland with water. This is the second problem. Third thing is domestic purposes. Domestic purposes involve washing, cooking, cleaning of the cars, and even it can used for fire retardants. Whenever fire happens, water is the first tool to control the fire or to put off the fire. As a result of all these uses, we find a rapid depletion of groundwater. In the sense, the groundwater table is getting lowered. So, some people go for deepening the borewells. On the other hand, it has to be actually recharged during the rainy season. You have to construct a rainwater harvesting pit to collect the water from the rooftop of your building and direct or channelize it to the borewell or the groundwater. Thereby the groundwater level could be improved. But since we are using it on a large scale, so there happens a rapid depletion of groundwater, very particularly due to agricultural irrigation. As a result, the water table lowers. When the water table lowers, the mineral constituents or other thing gets added into it and the water becomes too much hard. Not only the hardness, other minerals and other contaminants also get added up naturally in addition to the industrial discharge. So this is one of the trouble. Second thing, subsidence of the land, in the sense the borewell itself collapses because of the lowering of the water table. And another thing, you have heard about lot of instances where the children accidentally falls down into a borewell, and it is actually because of the subsidence issue, because of the lowering of the groundwater. Another thing is, if more water is poured into a agricultural land, if the water gets stagnated. If water gets stagnated, first thing, it invites lot of vectors, very particularly mosquitoes and other thing. So it happens to be a breeding ground for vectors. They lay their eggs, larva comes and it creates a vector-borne disease like malaria or dengue. Point number one. Point number two with the waterlogging is the soil contains lot of ions, very particularly anions and cations. For example, sodium chloride. Sodium is positive, chloride is negative. So these ions agglomerate or rather aggregate to form salt. As a result, the whole land or the crop land becomes sodic in nature. Sodic means high amount of salt content, high amount of saltiness. The environment becomes totally saline. As a result, the crops cannot grow. This is one of the issue we find with the over exploitation of the water resources. Next thing. Second is drying of wells. Drying of wells can happen naturally or it can happen due to the man-made acceleration. If the consumption rate is very high for a local community, or if it is being wasted, or if there may be a leak in the transport of water through a pipe or network of pipes, it leads to the loss of water. As a result, it leads to drying of wells. Drying of wells has got a relation with the temperature. So there is no rainfall or uneven distribution of the rain. The uneven distribution of rain and the rainwater cycle are affected due to deforestation. So it has got a complex cyclical chain phenomenon and it leads into trouble. Next thing, pollution of groundwater aquifers. Very particularly, you find fluoride contamination in some parts of Bengal. So this pollution of groundwater in those places, because of the fluoride content, they lose their teeth, it corrodes the calcium. It replaces the calcium present in the bones. As a result, even osteoporosis is also reported. How a pollution of groundwater aquifers happens? It may be an intentional or accidental release of the effluent from an industry into the groundwater aquifer. As a result, most of the wells, the water present in the wells are unfit for consumption. Either it is being intruded by the sewage, so it might contain some microorganisms, particularly E. coli, Escherichia coli, which is present in our intestine. Such microorganisms can cause diarrheal problems or waterborne diseases through the wells. Another thing is the waste is discharged into rivers and streams. This is a typical picture which shows that lot of effluent, sewage waste, human waste as well as the industrial wastes are being discharged into a river and stream. This picture was taken at Tamil Nadu in a particular area of South Tamil Nadu. Now, because of the over exploitation of the water resources, there are no proper drainage mechanisms during the dry period. They get blocked. As a result, you find one phenomenon called floods. Floods are actually natural phenomenon. Because of the heavy downpour of the water, you find water to be flowing or flooding as a river on the road. The roads are appearing like rivers. It means that if the water is flowing with the full force, it requires a proper drainage. Unfortunately, the most of the drains are being blocked, and it is more of a water related disaster. And this disaster, how it happens, the geomorphic equilibrium is disturbed. The water flows in one direction and it is determined by its slope. Normally, from a higher elevation, the water can freely flow down. And in the event of flowing down, if it is blocked, so it leads to a bursting of water, that equilibrium is being disturbed. As a result, the holding capacity of the water flow by the land or the earth's surface, the geomorphic threshold goes beyond. As a result, the water gushes with full force, and it may be due to the aggradation of the riverbed. In the sense, aggradation means joining, tightening of the riverbed during the uh, dry season, or onto the extrinsic threshold due to heavy rainfall. The equilibrium gets completely distorted and flows like anything with full force. So the current generated by the water force is very high. It destroys anything and everything. So this is a typical picture taken at near Alapura during the Kerala floods. Then you can see a small clipping where there is a flooding of the river which happened during the last year Chennai rains. You can see that. So this capturing was made during the heavy rainfall which happened during Chennai rains. You could find a heavy downpour during the daytime, and you find the streets are flooded. High amount of rainfall is there. You can see that around 2 inches of the gate is submerged. So this is the typical heavy downpour of water during the flooding season. Now, whenever you just look onto the floods could be classified into two types. It could be a natural phenomenon or it could be a man-made phenomenon. When you just look onto the natural phenomenon, it is called as storm surge. Storms happen in the sea. So the water comes with full force, storms, cyclones, everything. So they surge. Surge means they just go and splash over the coastal area and try to come back to the ocean. In the event when the river space is very high, it creates a natural flooding. Well, tsunami. Tsunami has got lot of scope of discussion during the natural disasters. Tsunami is an earthquake disturbance happening in the sea for our simple understanding. Glacial melt, in the sense because of the climate change, the increase in the temperature. It has been reported every year the temperature is increasing. Last year, we have experienced 49 degrees centigrade at Hyderabad, and as a result, 13 people are being dead due to the heat wave generated during the summer. So the temperature is increasing, that results in the icebergs or the polar ice caps being melted. So that involves a heavy flooding of the local river system that creates a flooding. As a result, it results in landslide. The riverine ecosystems are also disturbed. Estuarine, where freshwater and marine ecosystems join. Marine flooding. So all these things can cause due to the natural phenomenon. As a result, you could find the bursting of landslide blockades in the catchment area of Bhagirathi River in August 1978. This was the first report properly documented in India. River Bhagirathi was flowing, it is actually a part of River Ganges. In the catchment area, they have kept the blockades, but the flow was so heavy, along with the melting of icebergs, it led into the splashing of the barricades, breakdown of the barriers, and as a result, a huge amount of land mass slided down, and it created a serious problem. More than 2000 people died. That is what the statistics says. On the other hand, flood can be also be man-made. Floods, because of man-made, very particularly whenever there happens a breaching of dams. Breaching in the sense the dam could not withstand the pressure, or there may be some earthquake induced seismicity in the dams, and as a result the dams might get breached off, washed off, broken off, or any small check dams or barrage which release water from the reservoir. If the holding capacity is not sufficient enough, it can be broken down. On the other hand, if the dams are not properly maintained, it results in urban flood. By and large, we find the urban flood due to blockage of our drainage systems where the water has to flow freely. So this is well explained to the 2009 where it is properly documented. Narayanapura dams on the Krishna river in Karnataka, along with the rainwater from Andhra Pradesh near the Sri Sailam dam, it caused a heavy flooding in Andhra Pradesh. So Andhra Pradesh normally receives heavy flooding because of the cyclones which originate at the Bay of Bengal. Normally it crosses Vishakhapatnam or Odisha or Bengal. So these are the three major disaster flood prone zones. So the floods in typical can be caused due to natural or man-made. Now, what are the factors that are causing to flood? First thing is it could be caused due to the silting of the river bed. Silt means fine sediment. So due to the river bank erosion and earthquake, the loosening of the soil, the silting can happen and it can lead to the deposit of the sediments. It can also deposit in the dams and embankments. So that creates a problem of vector-borne diseases. And if the water level increases, the capacity is not sufficient, so it releases a high turbid water. So it results in the clogging of that area where dissolved oxygen mix is being disturbed, and as a result the aquatic life is being threatened, particularly the fishes. Another thing, landslides, falling of trees, which is due to the heavy flooding, it obstructs the flow. As a result, flooding, the geomorphic threshold gets disturbed. Instead of flowing in one particular direction, the water splashes all over the direction and results into a serious damage in the nearby villages. Landslides, falling of the trees are being associated more towards the river beds near the forests and the tribal villages. Another thing is, repeatedly I am saying the natural drainage. We have got drainage canals or lakes. so that the drainage canals can gradually get directed to the agricultural field, or it can lead into a balance in the well or a lake, or the drainage canal can lead into a ocean. So to finally get to be a discharge. If there happens poor natural drainage due to high rate of urbanization, we are constructing houses everywhere, the natural drainage canals have been blocked because of the house construction activities. Whatever the house debris we have got, they are being dumped. So the absorbing capacity or the free flowing capacity of the water through the landmass of the soil is being disturbed. Another thing is there may be a heavy rainfall. There may not be a proper vegetative cover to absorb the rainfall or distribute the flow. As a result, it might completely flash the water and completely create a disturbance. What are the impacts of flood? First thing, human loss. Second thing, property loss. In the sense, most of the people are not compatible for the floods because the water current is very high. Many people are not aware of the swimming issues. So as a result, they get completely troubled with the flow of water and there is a heavy casualty. Second thing, properties. Properties in the sense buildings, huts, whatever it might be. Third thing, it affects the major roads. If it is affecting the major roads, our transportation, movement, locomotion from one place to other place, how we can move, how we can migrate. So this creates a problem. Another thing is disruption of air, train and bus services. Of course, many of you should have heard about these instances in coastal areas. Whenever there is a thing, heavy rainfall, there may be a delay in the flight or delay in the movement of the train. The railway tracks will get inundated, all these things. Another thing is spread of waterborne communicable diseases. The question comes, water is actually fresh. How it can lead to a waterborne disease? Actually, it mingles with the sewage. The sewage contains good amount of microorganisms, very particularly harmful microorganisms. So as a result, because of the turbidity and silt, a favorable environment is created. These microorganisms proliferate. These microorganisms are waterborne microorganisms. When this water is being consumed without a proper treatment, at least boiling of water is required. If it is not being done, it creates a waterborne communicable diseases like diarrhea, cholera, cold, cough, and other things. Important thing is communication breakdown. How you can communicate? Of course, these days we use lot of modern gadgets, cell phones, pagers, very many things, internet connections. The complete communication system is put into a grinding halt. Another thing is electricity supply cut off. Whenever we require, at least to charge your mobile phone, we require electric power. Or you can say that you are using an UPS. Even to charge the UPS, an electrical power is required. If electrical supply is cut off, ultimately the whole thing comes to a dark because most of our modern gadgets uses electricity. Another thing, economic and social disruption. Economic in the sense job, very particularly the daily earning waging people, daily wages earning people are put into trouble. Where they are put into trouble, for example, the local people who sell the fruits or vegetables on the road on daily basis, daily wages earning people, their economic situation comes into trouble. On the other hand, if there is a family disruption, if the economy earning or the money earning person of the family is dead in the flood, how the family can be in a position to be maintained for the future expenditure, there happens a social disruption. If the husband is dead, the wife and the children are put into trouble, or if the parent dies, the children becomes orphans. So there occurs a complete social disruption. Finally, there is an increase in air and water pollution. Most of the air contaminants settle down in the soil. As a result, the dissolution of the pollutants happens. So sometimes you can find the water to be acidic in nature because of the dissolution of oxides of sulfur, carbon and nitrogen. Sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, which are released through industries, coal burning, and through transportation sector get settled down in the land and they dissolve over during this flood period. So you can see how the impact is happening, how it is leading to economical loss. This is again happened at Chennai. So you find the trees getting uprooted, falling on a car, and the car creates a severe damage. The tree creates a damage to the car. So again, setting the car, fixing the car involves economic expenditure, and because of the falling of the tree, the communication is disturbed. Accessibility on the other part is also disturbed. So this is one of the biggest problem. You can find that when the tree get uprooted, the cement and other debris are being removed. So the water can get mingled over the cement debris and it can create into a problem. I can just quickly repeat the clip. So you find the falling of the tree, falling of the tree, the car is gradually moving. So because of the felling of the tree, the car gets disturbed, the communication is stopped, the mobility is stopped. So this is one of the first factor. Second thing, the tree gets uprooted, you could find lot of debris being added and that can lead into a contamination problem. This is again another serious loss which happened during the Chennai floods. The two-wheeler driving person has a miraculous escape. You can find the clipping. The two-wheeler driver has a miraculous escape. The motorcycle got sunk into the manhole or to the depression. Thank God his life is saved. Nevertheless, he is wearing a helmet. His vehicle has gone down the underground or sewerage or other thing. So you imagine, suppose if the person has gone down, finished, the human loss could have happened. So by luck or other thing, he just managed to escape out of the thing. There is a severe economic loss. This is a clipping taken during the Chennai floods. And this is a clipping where the people got locked in the house because of the overfloods. And many students, it is only the student community we have to salute. Many of the engineering students, they just came to rescue. They are not professional firefighting rescuing persons. They are simply the students. So students have got the responsibility and we should appreciate the thing. They just rescue the people who are being locked inside, children, young women and other people. So this is also a serious loss which happens because of the flooding. You can just quickly see. Heavy flow of flood. Heavy flow of rain water. They are trying to break down the window. Children and women and the family are locked inside the house. They are trying to rescue them. So this was a very horrifying moment where the children got locked. Finally, they have been rescued. So this is a very terrifying impact of the flood. So it is because of these concrete jungles which have been created in the form of apartments and individual villas at the places where the water has to freely flow and get drained. So because of the blockage of water flow, because of these buildings and concrete jungles, it has created a horrifying moment during the flooding season. Now, on the other hand, the exact antonym of flood could be drought. Drought is a condition where the annual precipitation, in the sense how much amount of rainfall we are getting in a year, if it is less than 1%, we call it as drought. It in simple terms, it means that the scarcity of water. There is no water available, very particularly potable water or the drinking water, and as a result of the water it leads to lot of condition called famine. Famine is a condition where you cannot grow the crops, no productivity, no water, no food, no employment opportunities, and people are kept in a complete grinded halt position. And normally it happens in the arid and semi-arid regions where the topography itself is such that you find a dry soil. As a result, you find the effect to be more high. It affects the home, agriculture, industry, and very particularly since there is no good nutrient availability, many of the children are malnutrition. They develop lot of syndromes. Very particularly, they develop lot of deficiency of vitamins and essential amines. So the drought is one of a serious problem, and it happens in many parts of the world, and India is also considered to be one of the disaster prone country where the first priority is given for floods and second given to drought. Many of the regions are being now included into the drought prone zone. It is simply because we don't have a vegetation cover or water retaining capability, or we are not doing a recharging of underground water. Now, how this drought is caused? It can be due to natural or physical causes, very particularly weather. Because of the anticyclone weather, it means that the air holds less moisture, you get less rain, it is a dry weather. This is a point to be noted. Second thing, global warming. Of course, the weather patterns are changing. Very particularly, Sahel is a place, it is becoming hotter and drier. In fact, it is becoming completely desertified. This is one of the standard example people, environmental scientists are quoting. Hotter weather, it means that more evaporation is happening, there is no rainfall, that is more evaporation is happening than the precipitation. Third thing, El Nino. El Nino in the sense all of a sudden you get rain, there may be a cloud burst. This is well witnessed in Australia. In fact, India is also gradually witnessing this. All of a sudden you find an increase in temperature for 2 days, and people used to get messages saying that there is an equinox, you have to take more water. On the next day, there will be a heavy rain, unexpected or unprecedented climate change. And it is because of all caused due to drought, and the drought is a condition caused due to deforestation or clearing of vegetation. So ultimately, if you just look on, nevertheless, it's a natural process witnessed during summer or extended summer. This natural cause is actually accelerated by human made cause. So first thing is overpopulation. Since the population is very high in a particular area, so we consume more amount of water. The current world population is 7.8 billion. And another thing is over cultivation. We are trying to cultivate as much as the crops in whatever the available area. As a result, the consumption of water and the consumption of nutrients by the plants from the soil increases. Over a period of time, the land becomes barren. In addition to that, we also add fertilizers and pesticides. That leads into a problem. Third thing is over extraction. Very particularly, too much of water if you remove from the wells, the subsidence happens, in the sense the internal arrangement of the borewell gets stiffened and it gets broken down or subsides, falls inside, and then gets dried up. Next thing which I have been repeatedly saying, deforestation. So the take home message is deforestation and overpopulation are the root cause for many of the environmental problems. So the best solution is try to plant a tree, keep your environment green at all occasions. That is the take home message. Now deforestation means you are cutting the trees. When you are cutting the trees, the roots are being removed. They are uprooted. The roots are being deeply sent into the soil to take the nutrients and hold the soil particles and prevent the soil erosion and holds the water capacity, water holding capacity of the soil particles. So that is being disturbed because of the deforestation. So to summarize the whole thing, water resources, water is the elixir of life. Water is the important component for the sustenance of life. Two-thirds of the earth is covered by water, out of which we are using only 0.3% for our regular consumption, very particularly through the surface, that is the river, lakes and ponds, and subsurface, that is the groundwater. Today you find the groundwater is being too much exploited because of the urbanization. Overpopulation, consumption is more than the being recharged. So the recharging of groundwater is not happening. As a result, it leads into one problem. Second thing, the problem with the water resources is the drains are not cleared. As a result, during the heavy rain, downpouring of the rain, the drainage channels are clogged. So that leads into a severe flood because it goes beyond the geomorphic threshold limit and the equilibrium gets disturbed, and which we have witnessed through small clips through the flooding which happened at Chennai. Another thing is droughts. Drought is a condition where the annual precipitation is less than 1%. If the precipitation is very less and when the evaporation of water is more, it leads into a condition called drought. And drought gradually leads into desertification. Both floods and droughts are caused by natural and man-made. The man-made causes are accelerating or aggravating the natural causes. So this is the problem. The take-home message is, if you just look onto the environmental concern, deforestation appears to be the one of a principal component for all the disturbances observed in the environment. So it is an ideal time to take up a responsibility and ensure that you could able to plant a tree in whatever the occasion it might be. Let it be a birthday, along with a cake cutting, you go for a planting. Let it be a wedding anniversary, along with a celebration, go for a planting. A tree or a small plant. So that might improve the greenery or vegetation cover of your surrounding and the environment. So that is the take home message. Thank you.